Okay, it's October 29th, and we're back at Canter's Deli, and I have here Emily from September Mourning with me.
Hi.
Thanks for coming out and everything. So,
yeah, no problem.
All right. We're going to have some real brief questions. I'm sure you probably even answered some of them before, so...
Probably.
I'm sure. So, start off real simple.
Yeah.
Basically, September Mourning. How did that come about, the name?
Well, September Mourning is a transmedia project, so it's not really a band. It's based around the storyline, and it kind of revolves around this girl named September, and she's a reaper. She takes souls, basically. So she has the power, to take a soul and put it into somebody else's body, so they can live out their life in somebody else's body. She was kind of given this gift, or curse, as it is, by a reaper that was supposed to take her soul. Mm-hmm. And he fell in love with her, so he didn't want to kill her. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take, your soul, and I'm not gonna take your soul. I'm gonna give up my powers to you, so you can stay alive. So he kind of got imprisoned in something, and he gave his powers to her. So she has the power of like a reaper, but she also has the weird innate ability to walk in the world of the living and the world of the dead. So she wasn't really killed to get her power.
Okay.
So she has this cool ability, and she can swap out these lives, and she takes it on as herself as being like fate, and basically trying to right all these wrongs, and in doing so she basically makes this butterfly effect of a mess, and and it goes on and on and on with the story and stuff like that. But that's kind of the gist of it. And so I kind of came up with this character and this story, like the brief pieces of the story a couple years back, about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, and I approached Mark Silvestri with Top Cow Comics. I don't know if you're a comic book nerd, but I am. And he created Wolverine, and he did all these amazing things. He had some Darkness and Witchblade. Amazing dude, freaking amazingly creative, amazing guy. One of the founding fathers of Image Comics. He's huge, and he loved the idea, and he loved what I wanted to do with it, with the music aspect of it, and all the other parts of it. So he was like, I'll be your partner in this. So about 3 years ago, I decided to get the music going and rolling and get the band together and start kind of fleshing this all together. And we started, and the lineup's changed since then, but that happens. But it's basically kind of morphed into this kind of story band, and the look and the image is very specific for what it is and who she is, and the guys in the band are very specifically dressed and their makeup and everything for exactly what they are, these reapers, and so it's kind of it's like musical theater for the rock set, but not cheesy. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
That's kind of what September Mourning is.
Yeah. Oh, very nice, very nice. Yeah. So right now you're saying how you're kind of in and out with player or band members and everything like that?
Well, we have a solid lineup now.
Okay. Who's your lineup right now?
We have this guy Sean, who played drums for Carnifex, and they're on hiatus right now, so he decided to come on board with us, and he's been playing, and he's awesome drummer, amazing. Nice. We have Steve on guitar. He's from the Midwest, and he came out here just to do this band because he really believes in it, and amazing guitarist. And we have Alex on second guitar, who is in a couple other projects around Hollywood, but really like the band and has joined on to do some shows and see how it goes and stuff. And he's really a good dude. And we have Scott, who is our bass player, tall, lanky Scott. And he's awesome too. He's been in a bunch of bands. He's really experienced and just great on stage. Everybody kind of has their own personality on stage, which is really cool. And I'm very animated on stage, and I'm very theatrical on stage, so it's good for me to have people that I can play off of.
Yeah.
So
very nice, very nice.
That's the lineup right now.
Kind of growing up, getting yourself into the music. I mean, what was it that you were listening to when you first got into music, or inspired you to do what you do?
My uncle listened to black metal, so I don't know what that did. I mean, that kind of got me into metal when I was younger, but I listened to a lot of punk and pop. I listened to a lot of pop when I was younger, and my mom and my dad, Beatles and things like that, and just song, really good songs, really strong, Fleetwood Mac. My mom loved Fleetwood Mac, and they would show me things like that. I mean, I got I got into pop at first because I was first, before I was signed like to the deal that we just did overseas. Like I did a couple of pop projects, and I was signed to them, and I was kind of in that atmosphere and realm of music, and I wasn't really being able to like do exactly what I wanted to do in the projects. I was kind of told what to do, and I really didn't like that. So I kind of gave that up to go more rock and take control of my artistic ability. And that's what I did. And this project is basically the sum of those years put together of like learning how to do it all, you know? And I think I just, a few years before I started this, I got turned on to, heavier music. I mean, I'd already been turned on to it. I mean, Dillinger's Escape Plan was like one of my first concerts, and I was like in a basement in Virginia, and I almost got clocked in the head by a microphone. But, I was like, I want to do this, you know? So it was like, music's always been around me, and, my dad plays piano, my grandfather plays violin. Like, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of like all in the family. So it's always been around, and I went to performing arts school when I was younger. So like I learned like theater and dance and like music, all different types of art, which you can kind of tell with my project. It's very much that.
Oh, so. big time. Yeah. I mean, besides singing, is that the course that you decided to go, or did you try any instruments along the way?
I played around with guitar a little bit. Like I was more into singing. Like I was a professional ballet dancer, like in my teens and stuff like that, and that was like what I wanted to do is dance, and like but I had a really bad fall, and that was the end of my career. So then I got I was like, okay, I picked up a microphone and started screaming, and I was like, oh well, this will work. And I was singing and doing all this sort of stuff, and it's just kind of like all of that training from when I was younger in high school and stuff like that was just kind of like led me up to where I came to, like eventually, through a roundabout way.
Has there been any since you've been playing with this band and everything? Have there been any like big shows that you like opened for, or any bands that you played with that you really enjoyed with? We
just recently played Rock Vegas, which was in Las Vegas, and we opened for Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson. And on the Saturday, it was an outdoor festival sort of thing, and then. It was really cool. It was like a great group of bands and really pro, and just a lot of fun and big stage, and we enjoyed it. It was awesome. We've toured with Manson before. We toured with him. One of our first tours was with Marilyn Manson like almost 3 years ago. So it was kind of cool to like jump back on there and just
give him a high five. Been a pretty good experience with him then.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's say what you want to say about Manson, but he's like epic beyond belief, and he's super intelligent. I mean, he's like we're all artists, so we're all a little opera rockers, but he can really put together. He can do things that nobody else can do, and like for me, that's what I admire. Like that's what I strive to do with my stuff. I don't want to be like nobody's gonna see like the video we just released. Like nobody's gonna do something like that. Like I did something like that. I have the blood pouring out of my mouth. I had all that. And that's kind of like growing up on like Manson and like Ogre and like really performance artists beyond being a musician, like a performance artist, like those guys is what kind of like teach me like hey, you have to do like it has to be everything. It can't just be this, and to me that's really important is that it's like a whole spectacle,
So as you're hoping this band grows, it sounds like maybe that your stage appearances and set will be more theatrical, kind of like a whole setting then.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I have lots of ideas for stage that I really want to do. There's some great artists out there that are kind of dabbling and stuff like that. Like Emily Autumn is a good one to look at. Like she's very theatrical. Her stuff's a little more pop than mine, but and even if you look in the world of pop, I mean that's all theatrics. Like behind all that too. And I just kind of want to bring a little bit of that like aesthetic, on a darker scale to like what we're doing, because I think it's just interesting and it's cool to look at, and it just kind of it's escapism. It takes you away from the bad economy that we're in.
That's true. That is so true.
You know?
It's kind of nice though, because you're giving people more for their money, and in the sense of
Yeah.
giving them a full blown show, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, I definitely agree that the music is first and foremost. You know, it has to be there. You know? I'm very much a stickler for like proper stuff, but I do believe that it just can't stop with that. It's got to have like all the other components, because you know, in today's world, like you just have to. I think you have to have that. So.
Oh, very cool. So far, shows that you've played or anything, has there been a show that really stood out for you? Kind of a moment, kind of something that you're gonna always cherish when that one show something happened?
There was a show in Pomona. We played the Fox Theater in Pomona, and I jumped off stage and I like nailed my ankle, like, because I'm in heels all the time when I'm on stage. So, and of course I just don't think when I'm on stage, so I just kind of like do whatever I feel like doing. And I jumped off stage onto a barricade and I cracked my heel, and I didn't notice anything for the whole show. And then I got off stage and my ankle, like I took it out of the boot and it was like the size of a watermelon. It was so big. I was like, okay. I think I did something to it. I couldn't walk for the next like 2 days. Good thing we had 2 days off, but like, I pounded some Advil, went back at it. But you know, it's just stuff like that happens. But it kind of like, you know, that's kind of like pushing your limits, taught me to like push my limits, but still kind of stay on top of like who I am, because you have to do that. You have to be aware of your surroundings on stage, which is very important.
Yes.
And I think that young bands really need to like be aware of that. You know, it's great to let loose and like really like, you know, do whatever, but you do have to be aware. You know.
Yeah, it does help.
Yeah.
It does help.
I don't know.
Well, I know that since, you know, I've kind of followed music, been around for a while and everything, a lot has changed. I mean, of course, we don't have the record stores anymore or anything like that. Everything is, you know, on computer, you know, MP3s. I mean, everything. How do you try to go about to get you guys, you know, get your music heard? What are you trying to do as a band to try to get your names out there?
You know, it's funny. It's like my dad and I were talking the other day, and I was like, yeah, the music business, and he starts laughing, and he's like, oh, that's a funny one. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's no music business anymore. It's like charity business. It's like, you know, it's so hard to make it as a musician. Like people, there's no more rock stars anymore because there's no money in it anymore. It's very hard. You know, it's like it's a very wide place from the top to the bottom of this industry, and there's a lot of middle ground that's cool, but it's still not a lot to really, there's not enough middle ground space for people to like be in. So I think that, you know, I mean, personally, like we've had a lot of help from different avenues with this project, so we're very lucky. You know, like we had the release in Europe that we did, and that did really well overseas, and we had, you know, the release on iTunes, and we had the video, and the video, like parts of the video went to Spike TV because the song was licensed to TNA Wrestling. So, you know, we've had a lot of really good positive things happen to this band, which just the momentum propels everything forward, and people just respond, and so for us, just, you know, keeping up all the different sites and like keeping updates and you know, just keeping in touch with the fans and being personal with them, you know, as much as we can. Like with our projects, it's a little different because it is a storyline, and I'm this character and stuff like that, but I do try to keep, you know, there's like me, Emily, and then there's like September, you know, and there's the two don't really mix, you know. She's like, that's her, you know, like, so and so I try to keep it a little bit separate there, and when I'm talking about it, but I think that fans really like to be personal with you, and it's just everything online now. Like there's no mystery, which is kind of a bad thing in a way, because like I think that's another reason for the decline of like what's going on with this industry. But you know, oh, thanks. I mean, you know, back in the day, like when I was listening to Manson and stuff like that, you know, like Manson was like, nobody really knew him. Like, you know, who's this dude? Like, you know, I had this poster on my wall, and I was in like, you know, school, and like he was just like this like crazy dude. Like nobody knew about him. But that was so cool. Like, that's what was cool about it, is that you would just imagine, and like you were like, oh, I wonder, and like, and this and that. And now it's like everything's like, oh, well, this is this and this and this and this. And so you don't really wonder anymore. You don't use your imagination. You don't really, like, it's hard to find. I think it's hard to, kind of going off subject here, but it's hard to, it's hard to find that. I think that when I look around the music industry now, to find like a really creative project is hard, because it's like we've been kind of bred now not to be as creative because everything is so black and white for us. And I think that when you do find a really creative space and a really creative person and project, like, you need to nurture that. And it makes me sad that the industry is what it is, because there are no, artist development programs like with labels. It's just kind of like spray 'em and pray 'em, like sign a bunch of bands, see whose single works, and then go with that, instead of like really nurturing like a real artist, And people always complain, oh, you're never going to have like a Alice Cooper or Marilyn Manson or like Kiss or this or that, you're never really going to have that creativity anymore. And it's like, well, you're not allowing it, so don't complain about it if you're not going to allow it, sort of thing. And that's my whole thing about it. So kind of went off on that, but
right.
So, but for us, it's just basically just trying to be as interactive with the fans and like talk to them online, go on Facebook chat, talk to them, like, answer questions, do vlogs if that's your thing, like, do like whatever you can do to be interactive with them, because at the end of the day, we can't do what we do unless they support us.
That's true.
So, it's all about them, and at the end of the day. So everything you do, which is why I go the extra mile with everything I do, is because it is all about them. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I feel.
That's good. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. For somebody that's just trying to start out a band or anything like that, what would you encourage them to do? What would you tell them their main focus should try to be?
It all starts with the music. It depends what our band's different because we have this whole other thing going on. Sure. But like if you're just in a regular band and you're in a 5-piece band, you want to get on stage and play some music, like, you need to write good music. That's the number one thing. You need to make music that connects with your fan base, like, that connects with the people that you want to connect with. Like, you have to write things, you have to really, that's where it just boils down to that. Because if people can't connect with what you're doing, if they can't feel it, it's kind of like, they're just not, it's not worth it. Yeah, spinning your wheels, it's it's like nobody's going to get it anyway. So it's just important that you connect with your fans. So that means connecting with yourself and knowing what you want to write about and what message you want to put out there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I think I might know the answer to this question because you kind of went off on him, but I'm going to still ask it anyways. If you had your choice and it could work out, who would you most like to try to work with on either a song or an album? Who would you like to be side by side next to?
It's not Manson, actually.
Okay.
Actually, he would be really cool to work with. I wouldn't say no to him. He's awesome. Like, Manson's great. There's, right now, like, it's kind of like all my heroes are dead sort of syndrome right now for me. Like, I'm looking at, a lot of like old school stuff, like Kurt Cobain stuff and stuff of people that aren't really around right now. So, but like Susie Sue and like people like that just had something going on besides just what they go up there and do. Like, just had more of a character. It would be really cool to work with people like that. In the modern realm of things, the bands out right now, like Asking Alexandria is a cool band. They got something going on that really connects with their audience, and Danny's really cool. There's a lot of good dudes out there. Black Veil, Andy's really a great guy. Like, I've known Andy since he was like 14. So, but there's a couple of bands out there that would be fun to like kind of do some sort of weird, sort of like duet or some crazy screaming contest or something with.
Nice.
But yeah. As far as like, the really big guys or classic guys or anything like that, I don't know. That's a hard question. I mean, Manson would be great.
Yeah.
Like Chris Vrenna, like we kind of worked with him a little bit. He was awesome. You know, Dio would have been great to work with. You know,
Yeah.
I actually lived in Dio's old house when I first
Nice.
moved here a couple of years ago, and I saw him the Easter before he passed. So that was really sad. But,
Yeah.
Wendy's awesome. You know, Ozzy. Like, I mean, it'd be cool to work with Rob Zombie. Like, any of those guys that are kind of theatrical and kind of have like, you know. I love Amy Lee of Evanescence. She's amazing. I love to write something with her.
Yeah.
But, you know, so yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, the question isn't going to get any easier then, because she's like, this is the one that kind of stumps a lot of people. With all the music that's been written, every song that's been written, it doesn't matter what genre or anything like that. Is there a song out there that you kind of heard that you wish you would have been the one that covered it or wrote it?
Wrote it?
Yeah.
Well, see, this is a hard one to answer because there's like the artistic me that's like, oh, well, artistically, this is a song that I would like. And then there's like the, I want a hit song, so this is the one, damn it, I wish I wrote that song.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the one song that it's really funny. It's like one of my mom's favorite songs, and it's one of the first songs I can remember hearing when I was a little girl. Like, you know, it's "Landslide" by Stevie Nicks.
Yes.
And that song, for some reason, that song just gets me every freaking time she sings it. Susie and the Banshees, "Cities to Dust" is another great, artistically wise. Like, I love that song and just the melody. And there are a lot of Cure songs that I just love, like pretty much the whole catalog. You know, but like right now, like, I mean, there's a lot of pop hits. I was like, damn, like Dr. Luke is pretty much just he's got the corner on all of those like pop hits.
Yeah.
So I wish I could get inside his brain and just teeter around a little and see what makes him write what he does.
Yeah.
You know, because he's awesome. I write with Sahaj Tik from the band Raw. We do a lot of stuff together. We write for other bands. We write for his band. We write for my band. Like, and he's a great writer, and he's awesome to write with. And I've learned a lot from him. There's a couple of Evanescence songs, "Bring Me to Life." Like, you know, that's such a great song. Like, "My Immortal," such a great song. Like, that whole album, Fallen, was like such a crazy, amazing album that still translates. Yeah, there's like, gosh, I don't know. There's a bunch of songs, so it just kind of depends, like which direction you want to go. I mean, of course, the Dr. Luke hits bring in the money, so that's like your Katy Perry, your Avril Lavigne, like anything like that. You know, I love that new Avril Lavigne song. I'm totally gonna get like, people are gonna hate me for saying all this stuff, but like, I'm sorry, it's just a good song. Like that "I Wish You Were Here" song is just like so catchy, and it's just like, I'll wake up in the morning singing the chorus, and I hate it because I'm like, damn this song. So, you know,
there's nothing wrong with being, you know, well diversified in music and stuff. I mean, that's how people get their inspiration. You know, they might take a note or a lyric or just the way it's carried from somebody else and put it into their, you know, arsenal.
Oh, I've totally done that. So, you know, there's a lot. I love 30 Seconds to Mars. So I love the first A Beautiful Lie album. Is awesome. And the This Is War, Kings and Queens is such a great song. I love that song. You know, like U2, like if I could work with Bono, oh my god, you know, like these are like the people that I would want to work with, like real songwriters that can really write songs, you know, like Dr. Luke, if I could work with him. That's probably would be the answer to that question, because he's like you know, these are people that like literally, like, it's a science to these people how they write, you know, and it's kind of like, and then they just turn them out and they just keep on churning them out like that, and it becomes like, okay,
it's a factory of hits.
It's a factory of hits. It's crazy. So I kind of want to get to that point.
I don't blame you. A lot of people, I'm sure, do.
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's like the Nickelback syndrome. It's like, say what you want to say about Nickelback, but you can't touch those figures, you know, with a 10-foot pole, anybody today, you know? I mean, Muse, the same thing. Muse is like amazing.
Oh, I know.
They're amazing musicians, like amazing, you know? Like people like that are people I look up to, so.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your time real quick.
Yeah,
and
no
stuff.
problem.
How can people find you? You know, you have any websites or anything you want?
Yeah, we have, if you want to check out our main website is septembermourning.com, like MOURNING, .com. And then we have like our Facebook.com/September Mourning. And Twitter, it's I am Emily Lazar on there right now. I think I'm going to change that over, but right now it's that.